Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to the Nautilus. My goal today is to do something with this ship. We've spent the last, 20 episodes or so putting this thing together, and I'd really like to do something with it. And I didn't post a video on Monday because I was kind of thinking about what we could do with this. As I mentioned, my original idea was to have a button inside the bridge that when you pushed it would initiate a sky change, and maybe we'd have some water blocks around this for the surface of the water, and we could take those out with a replayer and have the sub look like it actually submerged. But as we look at the memory that I have on the right, I don't have enough memory for that. And I actually did spend a little time offline playing around with that and trying it to see if I could make that work. And by the time I built the surface part of this, there wasn't enough memory left for an underwater part. So what we're going to do is I'm still going to put a button on the bridge, but the button is actually going to trigger a toy box change. And so I have saved this toy box off as a copy, so I have the base ship, and I can use this toy box as a starting point for anything I want to do with this ship. And so what we're going to do is build kind of a surface area above the water with a little bit of an island section and so on. And my thinking is that Jack Sparrow has retired on the island to enjoy life, and one day he's attacked by some pirates, and he comes down to the bay and he sees this thing sitting out on the surface, and so he comes out to explore to find out what's going on, and realizes this is a submersible ship. He sees Davy Jones's banner down inside the Grand Salon, so he knows who's after him. Doesn't know why, but so he decides to go after him, and he takes the ship under the water using the button that's in here, which will trigger a toy box change and take us into another toy box that also has this sub that will this time be underwater. And Jack Sparrow is going to be going out from the ship, exploring the underwater area, and eventually he's going to run into a showdown with Davy Jones. And so that's kind of the flow that I'm thinking for this. So because of that, I don't believe we need the sky changer. Taking this out will replace a little bit of memory, or recover a little bit of memory, and we're not going to need that. And I'm going to leave that button for just a moment. For this toy box, we're not going to need the pipe climb that takes us under the ship, nor are we going to need that. And we're going to build a surface area. And this is going to be the surface of the water right here at this line. So right there. So everything above this has to be visible. Of course, the interior of the ship needs to be visible because you're going to be inside, but there are parts of the hull that are below the water that aren't going to be needed. And so we might be able to save a little memory by eliminating some of that. And so I'm thinking the surface of the water is at this level. So everything below this point can be removed. So we don't need these. If we're going to put a piece of water up here, a piece of terrain that we're going to use as water, that would need to sit at this level. And let's go ahead and style this to be the alien planet theme. That makes a good water theme. And terrain blocks don't take up a whole lot of memory. So let me pick that up, put it back, go to the next size larger. This is going to sit in here about like that. And for right now, I'm just going to put that there because I need to move this back over just a little bit. Okay, now we can bring this down. Okay, and if we wanted to, we could even bring this out like this. And my goal is to run this down along the way. And you'll see it's red. We're running into a little bit of a problem there. I discovered this earlier, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's look at this front section here first. And as I said, the water level is here. Now, trying to fit little blocks in here around this ship would be kind of a pain. And it turns out we don't really need to do that because, again, we're going to do the underwater section in a separate toy box. So we can take some of these blocks out. I'm actually going to replace this one with a little one that we're going to slide in under there, out of the way. We can take this out, this out, this out. And we can fit in some smaller blocks in here. Alright, so that becomes a little bit of an issue. I guess we could fit in a couple of these. It's not the prettiest, but gets the job done. And yeah, that looks a little bit ugly, but I don't think the player is going to be hanging around that end of the ship very much. We can come around on this side and kind of do the same thing. So we'll take out the sections that are in our way. Tuck that back under there. And do the same sort of thing. Now your other alternative is you could use some of the flat pieces if you wanted. These floor sections. Style those with water, and you could put these in here like this, and this could slide right up underneath there like that. And you could put those in. The problem with that is if you try to fill this whole area in with blocks, it takes up a lot more memory than it does using these. Those water block textures are animated, for one, and for some reason these basic blocks take up more memory, a little bit more memory than the terrain blocks. I don't know why that is, but it's something that I've noticed. And so you can actually save memory by using these smaller blocks. And so that's what I'm doing here. But if you're on a system with more memory, and you'd like to actually use the terrain blocks with the animated water, go for it. Now you'll notice, because of the width of this block, it's one block wider than the width of the sub. That's why we have this thing sticking out over here. And not really anything you can do about that. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so there we go. There's the front of the ship on the surface of the water, and that looks pretty good. Okay, now let's run the water down the side of the ship. And we can do that without any problem. And now we run into problem. And I looked around for quite a while to try to figure out what it was that that thing was hitting. And I didn't really notice it until I tried to stick a smaller block in here, where I could get the camera in to see what it was this thing was hitting. And you'll notice it's that little block that we added in here for the doorway. It's right under here. And it's this block right there. And so what I'm going to do in order to fit the terrain block in here is we're going to come into here. We're going to delete the connection to the path creator. Okay. And what that does is you'll notice it has stuck it out and moved the block. And it's just sticking out enough on the right, I think, which is why it's running into the thing. So we're going to move this out here. Beyond that, actually, let's raise it up so it's completely out of the way. And with that block out of the way now, we should be able to slide this all the way forward without actually hitting anything. And yeah, we are hitting something still. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out what it's hitting now. Must be hitting two different things. All right. Okay, so we are hitting another block. Yeah. It's the one that's on this path. So this guy right here. Those are the blocks that it's running into. So we will go into the logic menu for that. Delete that one as well. You see, I think that's why it's hitting it. Because even though the path has it oriented that other way, it's still sticking out a little bit here, or so it thinks. That's my guess. I don't really know for sure. But let's move that up out of the way. All right. We'll see if there's anything else in here that it's hitting. And there isn't. All right, so we'll delete that. And now we'll bring this piece over. And you'll notice I'm using the really tall blocks because that's going to cover up the window in the grand salon. And that's important because if you look out the window and you can see the sky dome, what you're going to see is this sky dome, which isn't going to look right underneath the surface of the water. So I'm using the really tall blocks to cover that up. All right, so now that we have that block in place, now we can come in here, do our new path connection, come down, and reconnect the block to that path, which puts our bulkhead back in place. We'll do the same thing with this one. Do path connection. Toy box path. That That puts that bulkhead back in place. Alright, and there's our water surface. And now we'll come pick this block up, not the one we just put down, because then we'll run into our red bounding block problem again, but we'll put another one out here. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. We look like we have the Nautilus actually sitting on the surface, which is great. Okay, let's move this little thing out of the way, and I think we're going to be able to delete this, but right now let's just get it up out of our way. I kept it because I thought I might need it when I put those other blocks back over there, but it's not the case. All right, now this block, we can slide it over and right up against the sub without any issues. And we got a little jag on the end, but that's out toward the ocean. Player's probably not going to venture out that way. And here we run into the same problem. And again, I believe it's the same two blocks on this side that are causing the problem. So the one connected to this path, which is that guy right there. So we're going to delete the path creator connection for that. Move that block up out of the way. And then also on the other path connection. So that block right there. And if you're having a hard time seeing it in Spark mode, you could always come into the room with the magic wand and select it that way. But that's our block. We'll delete that path connection. And then move that block up out of the way. And now we can move this over. And no problem. And while we're right here, let's go ahead and put this one down as well. And then we'll reattach each of these to their corresponding path. So new path connection, toy box path, which puts that block back. New path connection. Toy box path. That puts that block back. Okay, then we can go ahead and delete this. We're not going to need that. Now, on this end of the ship, we need to do the same thing we did on the other end. So we need to take out some of these pieces that are going to be in our way. And actually, I think I might move this down here. Put the smaller block in over there. That in there. Don't need the fan. That's going to save a little bit of memory. And we don't really even need this. I think it's going to be sufficient to do that. And we could even take this out. Again, save memory, because we don't need it. Nobody's going to see that in this particular toy box. All right. Probably do ourselves a little bit of a service if we slide this out a little bit, like we did on the other end. And slide that into place. I'm thinking I can probably put that in. Yeah, like that. Okay, I like that. Okay, and then do the same thing on this side. Take out the blocks we don't need. Now I want you to notice as I'm building this, look at the memory there on the right, the memory meter, and how much that is creeping up as we're putting this in. This is the problem that I was noticing as I was trying to do all of this before. And all we've added so far is the water. I still haven't put the beach on yet, or any trees or any enemies. But you'll notice everything under here is invisible. So we can reclaim a little bit of memory by taking out some of these blocks that we had put in before that made up the external part of the hull that the player isn't going to see. Now you got to be careful doing this because some of these blocks, like when you get into the engine room and you're looking at some of this, some of these blocks are the blocks you see on the outside. See that? You see that's a block on the inside, but this is also needed because it's it's one of the outside blocks. If I delete this, I'm going to be looking out at the beach over there. So that has to stay. Likewise, this piece has to stay. And we probably want to keep these pieces as well, because these are plugging gaps. The pieces that are under here are part of the floor, so we got to keep those as well. So you can't delete everything. You got to be very careful what you're taking out. But that being said, some of this isn't visible because this is strictly part of the exterior hull. So you can take this all the way back to here, for example, without any trouble. These blocks under here are fine. These are all things that we added previously for the underside of the hull. So we can reclaim some memory by taking all of this stuff back out in this toy box. Again, you're not going to want to do this for the base version of this. That's why you want to save off a copy of your toy box, a copy of the submarine, that still has the full sub inside and out, so you can do whatever you want with it. But then when you build your specific adventure, if you're building a toy box that's going to be strictly on the exterior, and you're not doing anything with the underwater side of it, you can take some of this stuff back out and thereby reclaim some memory. And that's good. Again, as you look at this from up above, from the surface of the water, the player's never going to see it. Same with a lot of this. And I thought about just kind of going, yeah, you get the idea, but I figured it's probably better to show the parts you can safely delete and the parts you shouldn't delete. And this is a lot of blocks, as you can see. It's a lot of memory we're going to be able to recover here. This was part of the exterior, but this is visible up here. So you want to leave that because that's plugging a gap up there. So you got to be careful what you take out and what you leave. So some of that, you can't just take out everything. There's a lot you have to keep. These are plugging a gap here for the storage room there for the kitchen. So we can't really delete those. Actually, I think I should have left this one here as well. But these blocks here, don't need. Don't need. That's part of a gap. Actually, so was the block next to it. I should have left that. Now this one isn't going to be seen at all from up above. So we can take that one out. That one again is plugging a gap. This one's not plugging anything, so we can take that out. That one's not plugging anything, we can take that out. This one isn't in the way. Neither is that one. Neither is that one. And here you gotta be real careful because you don't want to accidentally select the wrong block and delete it. But yeah, that's not visible anywhere either. Now here we're getting up close to the power room, so we don't want to be deleting any of those. And on this side we can take out some of these. And I'm kind of belaboring the point here. And I'm taking the time to actually remove all these things because I want you to see when I'm done how much memory we have left. I don't know how much we're actually recovering myself, but we're going to find out together. I have a feeling it's not going to be insignificant. All right, and we have a little room back under here, so we got to keep all of those. Okay, so we have just reclaimed a ton of memory on that end of the ship. Now all of that has to stay. Up in here, all of this is the floor in the diving chamber. That, however, can go. These blocks here aren't a problem. Now under here, though, I think we can take those out too. Yeah, we can take these out all the way down to here, to the window. And we can do that on both sides of the ship. So we can come over here, take that upper rod. Again, the lower row there you got to leave because that's part of the floor in the diving chamber and the preparation area. And then a lot of this, for the underside of this hull, you can take this out. Now you'll notice we do have floor here because we have the room up there, so you can't take everything out here. That block has to stay. That one can go. These ones underneath that floor can all go. Okay. And likewise, we're past the diving chamber at this point and the ballast tanks. So all of this can come out. So you see there's a lot of stuff you can remove because we're not putting all of this. We don't need all of this in this toy box because the toy box, for this toy box, it's only above the surface of the water that we care about. And, of course, the interior of the sub. And I'm almost done. I know we've gone a little bit over today, but I didn't have an episode on Monday, so maybe you can forgive me for going a little bit over today. I think it'll be worth it when we're done here. Okay, we've got to be careful what we take out over there. So let's start with the stuff that's kind of further away here. I don't want to impact the rooms for the quarters there. Sure. Okay, so that's the ceiling. So that's not going to cause a problem. Don't think that's going to cause a problem. And I think this is plugging a gap. Or is it? No, it's not. We're okay. We'll take that out. Alright, and then these we have to leave because those are on the surface. Alright, so take that out, that out, that out. Don't think those were plugging any gaps. Yeah, that one was. Okay, so we gotta leave these blocks here. I think these are plugging gaps too in those walls, so those have to stay. Alright, these are serving no useful purpose out here for this particular toy box. The ones up above we do need to leave because they're plugging gaps under here. Do the same thing on this side, and then I think we're done. So all that nice exterior hull that we built the last few episodes, a lot of that I've removed because you don't see that up here. All right, now's the moment of truth. How's the memory look? Now we're down almost to where we started, which is really good. All right, last thing I want to do, we're almost done for today. I'm going to pick that up. We're going to come over here and grab this piece. We need a beach. So for that, we're going to use Stitch's Tropical Paradise. I'll set that to be my theme. And there is our beach. And we got some more work to do with the beach, but we'll do that next time. There we go, Jack Sparrow's on the beach, and oh my goodness, what is that out there? We'll have to go take a look. But we'll do that another time. Well, we've gone over, so that's enough for me today. Thank you for watching. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my idea here for being able to take the Nautilus and do an above ground or above water adventure, deleting the parts of the hull that we don't need to reclaim memory, and then building kind of an area up here where we can have an adventure. So let me know what you think, and if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.